All right, all right, all right. Welcome to another episode of State of the Wizards. I'm your host, K. Jose, and I got my man.
D-Can, what's going on?
All right, and we're going to be talking about Wizards basketball today. One of the main things we're going to be talking about is the narratives that we're seeing pertaining to the team, and we're also going to discuss Summer League. We didn't discuss it the last time, so we're definitely going to discuss it today. But before we get started, follow me on YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel, DC Hoopla, like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on IG under DC Hoopla. Dwayne, tell them, D-Can.
Yes, sir. So follow Wiz Takes. I'm on IG, also on Twitter at Wizards Mafia. I've seen my followers tick up, and on my podcast. Make sure you follow Wiz Takes on Patreon, Spotify, Apple. You guys have been terrific. I can't complain at all. I wouldn't be where I'm at without you guys. Thank you so much for supporting Wiz Takes and now State of the Wizards.
And let me just piggyback off of that, man. I've been very impressed with what you've been doing, these last several months with your podcast, what you've been talking about pertaining to the team.
Appreciate that.
And it actually kind of lit a fire under me to actually start doing it because I've been talking about doing it for a while. But listening to your podcast, especially on Patreon, it got me to where I wanted to put that fire in it, and just start doing it. And then plus two, what we're getting ready to talk about today, a lot of narratives that I'm seeing on social media was another thing that sparked it. So without further ado, let's just get started. Let's get into it. Let's talk about these narratives that we're seeing on social media. Tell me about some of these narratives. What narratives are bothering you?
Well, one of the narratives that are bothering me right now is definitely the John Wall narrative. How John Wall is not worth the contract, wasn't worth the contract that he's gotten paid.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, people coming in speaking about Spencer Dinwiddie filling in, a role that was played now by two All-Star and then one Hall of Fame point guard. And how that's a great acquisition. It makes it seem as if there's some, like it's all in the same boat,
Right.
where, instead of just being realistic about it and saying, hey, we actually downgraded from that position. Folks are out there trying to make it seem like, no, it's not what it is. Like, hey, this is a great signing. This is a guy who is coming off an injury-plagued year, like the other guy that people complained about, who's John Wall.
Right.
So anyway, that's one narrative. And then, just overall, like, I don't like how social media likes to, degrade one player, crush one player to build another player up. We've seen it the last two years now.
Right.
Actually, we've seen it the last 3 years because people were doing it between Bradley Beal and John Wall before they were doing it between Russ and John Wall.
Absolutely.
Now they're going the route of doing it with Dinwiddie and John Wall. I've seen that narrative play out on Twitter over the last couple of days.
You're right. I'm seeing that as well.
So it's getting out of hand.
Right. Well, I definitely agree. The thing when you say about people who've been starting these narratives pertaining to John Wall, a lot of it was started while he was still a Wizard, while this man was healing. And then, the man lost his mom in December of 2019, and he was still being trashed even during that time period.
Right.
When he was like at rock bottom.
Right.
People were trashing him. We know a few guys who claim to be fans who were trashing him then. And then once the trade occurred, all of a sudden, Westbrook was given flowers. They were so quick to turn the page from the John Wall era with the quickness, but they had already turned the page anyway, but they made it even more evident the moment he was traded. And now the narrative is, which we got to talk about this, is that John Wall's contract turned into all these spare parts that we got from the junkyard. That's pretty much what they are. Spare parts you got from the junkyard. First of all, these players that we have, the teams that they came from didn't even want them. and they sent them over to us. And we're going to sit here and say that John Wall turned all that, turn his contract into all these places. No, it was Westbrook. We didn't trade John Wall for these guys. We traded Westbrook for these guys. Dinwiddie didn't come here because of John Wall. He came here because of Westbrook. Let's set this record straight.
Well, let me say this. In reality, this was a flip John Wall's contract into 5 or 6 players. In reality, that's what it is, because Russell Westbrook didn't stay. But my thing is that if you had made this deal a year ago, let's say if you traded these pieces to Washington for John Wall a year ago, this is not a good deal.
Right.
How is this a good deal? You trading John Wall for a future Hall of Famer made sense because John Wall was the franchise player.
Right.
Now you guys are trying to make it seem as if flipping John Wall's contract for a bunch of third-tier players is a good thing. Right. But in actuality, it's not. You had to settle. Dinwiddie is filling a void. That's all he did. He filled a void, okay, because we needed a point guard. As soon as you got Russell Westbrook out of here, you had no other choice but to fill the spot that you traded away.
Right.
But my thing is those folks who were complaining about John Wall's injury. Oh, John Wall's on the sideline. John Wall wasn't playing. You was paying him 41 millies to sit on the sideline, right? That was the argument, right?
Right.
Was the fact that we were paying him to be injured, right?
Right. So
we traded essentially a guy who was coming back for an injury. Now at this point, because if we're flipping John Wall's contract for Spencer Dinwiddie and other players, you essentially traded John Wall away, who was recovering from an injury, to fulfill his contract for another guy who's coming back from an injury to fulfill his new contract.
You're right about that.
So my thing is what are you guys complaining about? You're contradicting yourself and you're being hypocrites in this situation.
Right.
Oh, John Wall was making too much money. You were complaining about it before his contract even kicked in.
Right.
Look, that's the thing. He got the contract, right? People were complaining about him playing, into his contract. He wasn't the times that they complained, my dude, he wasn't even playing into his new contract yet.
You're right.
So so they had a problem with the contract from day one.
Yeah, they did. And they started a narrative even back then. The narrative was, well, we became capped out the moment he signed his Supermax. We were already capped out before the Supermax even kicked in.
Exactly.
We were capped out the moment we decided to match Otto Porter's contract.
Exactly.
That's a narrative that was created to basically push John Wall out of DC. And what it did was it caused the owner to actually listen and to buy into that. And now the owner has just been so messy, which we talked about in our last episode, what he said about Westbrook. It's just they focused on getting Dinwiddie so bad because they had, to your point, fill that void. And what's crazy to me is we were told, you and I were both told, that the Washington Wizards did the right thing when it came down to finding a coach by just doing their due diligence, by just going through and interviewing different coaches. But when it came down to filling this point guard position, they already had their eyes set on Spencer Dinwiddie. They didn't look at anybody else.
No,
they focused strictly on Spencer Dinwiddie, and they did whatever they could to get Spencer Dinwiddie. What happened to testing the market, seeing what else you can get, instead of just settling for just the first thing? When you go out there and look for a car, you don't just jump on the very first car you see. You shop around.
Right.
We didn't do that when it came down to the point guard. We just settled for the very first thing we saw, and we did whatever we could to make sure we get the guy. And now the narrative is, oh, well, this is a good signing. He's going to be a great player. Based off of what?
Yeah,
what are you basing this off of?
Yeah, so the narrative is that he was third on the list, right? He was third on the list to go. Truth is, we don't know if he was third on the list because He didn't test the market, and neither did we.
Right.
So we don't know if he was third on the list. Yeah, there was speculation that he was third on the list, but truth is we don't know who else was interested in Spencer Dinwiddie's services.
Well, let me ask you this, my dude. Who was first and second on the list?
I don't know. Lonzo Ball, he was up there.
Okay.
Lonzo Ball.
I would agree with that. Who was number 2?
No clue. No clue. After Lonzo
And how
Ball,
about this, my dude? How about this? Just for a second. I ain't mean to cut you off. Look at Dennis Schroeder. Everybody was talking about, oh man, that dude is crazy to ask this amount of money. Blah, 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 blah. But he signed with the Celtics for $5.9 million just for one season. Had the Wizards did their due diligence, you could have gotten Dennis Schroeder, whether he was a fit or not, but you could have got him for $5.9 million. You didn't have to go through the whole rigmarole to get him.
Right. No, you absolutely exactly. You could have settled for that, because at the end of the day, you settled for Dinwiddie anyway. Yeah. Like, my thing is we're acting like, this was, again, we're acting like the moves that we made was making up for getting rid of John Wall's contract.
Right.
That's the narrative, right?
Right.
Oh, Tommy flipped a bad contract into this. Well, what did he really flip? Did he flip a bad contract into bad trades? You guys are trying to make it seem like he flipped a bad contract into great trades. The truth of the matter is you guys don't know if it's a great trade or not. And the same players that we traded for, guess what? You guys was trashing them when they was teammates of LeBron James just a couple of months ago.
Absolutely.
Just a couple of months ago, Kuzma was trash.
Yep.
Harrell was trash.
Yep.
KCP was trash.
Yep.
Dennis Schroeder was trash.
Yep.
You remember that? Just a couple of months ago, y'all was up here talking about, oh, those players are trash.
You know, another former Laker that was considered trash, who's not there anymore, and he was linked to us as well. He was linked to us from the very beginning. Jordan Clarkson, he was labeled as trash too. Lonzo Ball was labeled as trash.
So as soon as they become Wizards, they're the greatest players ever. Oh, wow. Tommy really pulled one off. Wow. We acquired Kuzma, KCP, Harrell. We acquired some great talent on this Wizards roster. Y'all was just trashing them in the playoffs as LeBron James teammates.
I mean, the narrative is too, it's about flexibility. It's all about cap flexibility. Well, last I checked, we were not that far from luxury tax. So if it's about flexibility, and what type of way is it about flexibility? We still really don't have enough money to go out there and sign somebody that's really good. So even when you talk about flipping John Wall's contract and you got out of Westbrook's contract, we don't really have a lot of wiggle room like that. If we had a lot of wiggle room, we should have been, then Garrison Matthews should still be a Wizard.
Right. I mean, that's the thing, right? So we talk about the salary cap.
Mm-hmm.
We were already in cap hell.
Yep.
Okay, we were already in cap hell. The thing is that the Wizards, you had no other choice, because you decided to trade away the franchise player, right?
Right.
You were forced at that point. As soon as you made that decision, you were forced. You had no other choice but to say to yourself, wow, all we did was exchange contracts. Eventually, we're going to have to make a decision to let somebody go or trade somebody.
Yeah.
Those two players that was putting you in the position to do that was Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. Those are the two highest paid players on the team. And also, you knew that in 2 years, you was going to have to make a decision between one or the other player, or if not both, because you wouldn't have been able to afford to pay Bradley Beal the supermax, and you wouldn't have been able to afford to keep Russell Westbrook. Okay? Bradley Beal, now at this point, all NBA player, he qualifies for the supermax, which we can go into that now, because how I feel is we're on the cusp of talking about that anyway. In October, the Wizards are going to offer Bradley Beal the Supermax. He's eligible for it in October before the season starts. It is up to Bradley Beal to say whether or not he accepts the offer or he's declining the offer. You already know where I stand. You know that I don't believe that Bradley Beal is going to accept that offer.
I don't believe it either.
I believe he's going to decline the offer.
I believe he's going to decline it too.
And I think he'll take the risk on playing his entire 2021, 22 season and try to go for an even bigger contract after the season.
Yep. And the reason being for that is because if he signs the Supermax in October, it'll be under $200 million. I think it'll be around somewhere like 180 something, and it'll only be for 4 years. Whereas next season, he can sign for 5 years, and that thing will be like over 260 something million dollars, where he can be making 49 to 50 million a season, as high as 53.2 million a season. Now, this goes to all the people who had a problem with John Wall's contract, his Supermax, and talking about him sitting on a pine and making 40 millies or whatever. What are you going to say when Bradley Beal is riding the bench because he's injured and he's making $53 million a season? Are you guys going to bitch and moan about that? Or are you going to be silent and make excuses for why he's sitting on the bench? I hope you guys are going to keep that same energy, because, again, the Wizards are pretty much letting us know that they have no issue paying Bradley Beal over $200-something million. You got to think about that. Let me put this in perspective. Let me paint this picture for you guys. You got Steph Curry, who's making $215 million. Bradley Beal's going to make more than him. You got KD, who just resigned for $198 for Brooklyn. Bradley Beal is going to make more than him. You got Kawhi, who just signed his deal. Bradley Beal is going to make more than him. Bradley Beal is currently making more than LeBron James. Are we really going to sit here and justify Bradley Beal getting a Supermax when I just named 3 elite players who have rings, by the way, who are also all NBA players, who are going to be getting paid less than the guy that we feel we should be building this team around? Does it make sense to pay him that kind of money after I just named those elite players who are also future Hall of Famers?
They're future Hall of Famers. They're champions. Okay. They all have a championship. Yep. And, you know, the Wizards are, what they're doing is catering to one player. They're holding this franchise back. Other franchises in the past have had to make decisions to get rid of their star players.
Yep.
For the sake of the future of the franchise. For whatever reason, we have a loyalty to Bradley Beal, and you already know how I feel about it. Obviously, you know, we're worried about one player. Eventually, Bradley Beal is going to get to the point where he's past his prime, because under his new contract, it takes him past his prime. Then, at the same time, you have younger players who are still developing. Those players are going to command more money eventually in their careers.
Yeah.
What are you doing at that point if you're still hovering, below 500, or if you're right at 500? What are you doing as an organization to see to it that you're getting better and you're not just doing this every single year? You're finishing in the middle of the road and you're getting a 15th pick every year. What are you doing as an organization to see to it that you finally get past that point? Because building around Beal, for me, has only been settling for 15 picks every year. Watching a guy score 40 to 45 points per game and we lose the game. Bradley Beal can be on the verge of scoring 60 points and we lose the game. Okay? I just saw in the past decade, this guy here, number 2, John Wall. Okay? Mm-hmm. Take us to the most playoffs. Take us to more playoff appearances in franchise history in one decade than any of your favorite Wizards ever did. Okay? So, you know, how I feel, I feel like as long as Bradley Beal is the leader, we're settling for mediocrity. Even though Bradley Beal himself, as an individual player, is not settling for mediocrity.
Well, Bradley Beal is pretty much securing the bag. We already know that. You've actually said that first. You started saying that a few years ago. So what Bradley Beal is doing, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's manipulating the fans and he's manipulating the organization. What's going to have to happen, and I think this is going to be about the umpteenth time I said this, but the article that David Aldridge had put out in the Atlantic a few weeks ago, really the week of draft night, when he said somebody has to be the bad guy. The Wizards organization is not trying to be the bad guy, and Bradley Beal is not trying to be the bad guy either. But what's going to happen is the Wizards are going to have to execute a trade of Bradley Beal, and they're going to have to just take the bumps and bruises that's going to come along with it, which is people being upset. Because what's going to happen is if the Wizards decide to trade Bradley Beal, we know that Bradley Beal is going to say, well, I didn't ask to be traded. They traded me. I guess they decided they want to go a totally different direction. That's all part of his game. He wants it to be that way because he wants to let the Wizards fans know, hey, I didn't ask for that trade. They sent me away. But in reality, it has to happen. When I sit there and I look at stats from Kuminga and look at stats from Moses Moody, who, by the way, say he's looking forward to playing against Bradley Beal, I'm like, damn, these guys could have actually been on this team had the Wizards just did their due diligence and just say, you know what, let's go ahead and move on and let's focus on the future. But because we're deciding to appease a player who now I'm going to start creating a narrative who not only just sent one, but now he sent two electrifying point guards away, I have a problem with that. Now, I'm not the biggest Westbrook fan, but Beal did not have a problem with Westbrook asking for a trade. Why? Because Westbrook was taking all the shine away, just like he wasn't looking forward to John Wall returning because he knew that John Wall was going to take the shine away. As he should. He was the franchise player, as he should.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, another thing that no one talks about is the fact that Russell Westbrook didn't want to stay and play with Bradley Beal. No one's talking about that. They're saying, oh, he wanted to go home and play. That's right. So that's some excuse to not want to stay here in DC and play alongside Bradley Beal. Like, okay, so that's what we're doing now. We're just letting the leader of the franchise off the hook because you had another leader of the franchise say that he wanted to go home and play. That's what we're doing. Like, I thought the idea was to attract free agents here and get better. So we got rid of, so a Hall of Famer requested out alongside of an All-Star. And then what we get back in return is non-All-Star players. And somehow we are making it seem as if we made the best deal possible in Wizards Nation. Like, that's the craziest thing to me. Like, whatever happened to you trade an All-Star away for another All-Star, and then that All-Star recruits other All-Stars to come here and play, or recruits other free agents to come here and play. What happened to that? Like, what happened to the idea that you keep building? What the Wizards did in this case is they literally traded away an All-Star for a future Hall of Famer, then traded the future Hall of Famer away for third-tier players. And you got the fan base going wild.
Bruh, let me say this, man. Because while you was talking, I was just thinking. So this organization, going all the way back to their Bullets days, if you think about it, think about the electrifying point guards that this organization has had. Now, this was before our time. But, you know, you had Earl the Pearl Monroe when he was a Baltimore Bullet, electrifying. He got sent to the Knicks. Then you end up now, this is the only point guard that I could think of who never made an All-Star appearance, but he was electrifying. We had Rod Strickland, electrifying. Okay. We signed Gilbert Arenas, electrifying. We drafted John Wall, electrifying. You traded away John Wall for Westbrook. Give credit to him, he's electrifying. Now we got Spencer Dinwiddie. And pretty much there's nothing electric at all. Matter of fact, the power's been off for years. The dude ain't paid his damn electric bill. So this is what we're dealing with now. So but for some reason, the narrative is, oh, well, we got this and we got that. And to your point, people are like, well, Spencer Dinwiddie put up 20 and 7 in 2019 and 2020, in the 2020 season. Okay, but he's coming off an ACL injury. His second, by the way. Most of these people who are saying that this is a good signing, they're probably Washington football fans. So if you're if you're a fan of the Washington football team, then you should be able to relate what happened 9 years ago when you had RG3 who had his injury on his ACL. Is he still a third string quarterback right now with the Baltimore Ravens? I mean, my point is that based off of what's making people think that Spencer Dinwiddie is going to come here and repeat what he did in 2019 and 2020? What is that? What proof do they have? What proof do you have?
They have no proof. They have absolutely no proof, my dude, that Spencer Dinwiddie is going to do what he did 2 seasons ago. See, the thing is I think for you and I, we have to be clear to Wizards Nation. You and I are critical of the new guys because of the simple fact that we've been down this road before. People are saying, well, when's the last time the Wizards pulled off a 5-team trade? Look, it's been a long time. It's been a long time. But it wasn't that long ago when we made trades for Marcin Gortat. We made trades for Markieff Morris. We acquired Russell Westbrook just last season. Okay, we get ahead of ourselves thinking that when we make these deals and we make these trades, that all of a sudden we're this top 3, top 4 team in the East. The thing is Spencer Dinwiddie is coming off of an ACL injury. He doesn't know what he can do right now.
Exactly.
And so my thing is this, for those John Wall critics out there who was criticizing him for being injured, right? He comes back and he puts up 27 and 3 after an Achilles injury with the Rockets.
Pretty damn impressive.
27 and 3. That's Spencer Dinwiddie's best season of his career.
And that's John Wall. That will be considered John Wall's worst season of his career.
That's John Wall's worst season. John Wall's recovery year is Dinwiddie's best year. So John Wall was just getting back into the thick of things last season, and people are criticizing him for putting up Dinwiddie's best season. But yet they're just so happy that we acquired Dinwiddie, and their argument is, well, Dinwiddie's best year is 27 and 3. But that's John Wall's worst year. You get it? So to me, it's so funny, man, because, and again, Wizards Nation, we're addressing a lot of the narratives that we're seeing online. Do not get it twisted. We're not despising the fact that, these are new Wizards. We are just being realists. At the end of the day, there's a lot of show me. There's a lot of, show me now, show me what you can do. Because as Wizards fans, we've all been here before.
Yeah. I compare what's going on right now to being in an abusive relationship, or better yet, you're in a relationship with somebody who's constantly cheating on you. No matter how many times they tell you that they're sorry, they got to show you that they're actually sorry. Just because all of a sudden they decide, okay, I'm not going to cheat on you no more. Well, you just cheated on me yesterday. So that means I'm supposed to automatically just believe what you're saying.
Right.
So my point is with the Wizards, yes, what Tommy Shepard has done as far as personnel moves, they're looking good, but it's still too soon for me to sit there and say, well, he's actually doing the right thing, because for every good move he makes a couple of bad ones behind it. I mean, all we got to do is look at the Cassius Winston deal. Not trade, but just picking him. We're not even really doing anything with him. We already got Aaron Holiday. We resigned Howell Neto. So is Cassius Winston even going to make the team? And he's good enough to make the team, but that's Tommy's pick last year. He picked Denny, A lot of people saying, hey, we need to just get rid of Denny. He's a bust, this, that, and the third. And that's not it. Denny just hasn't been utilized properly. So people just need to pump the brakes, relax. It's nothing wrong with this team proving to you that they've actually turned a new leaf. It's nothing wrong with that. And I don't think it's anything wrong with us saying that this team should do that. We should be holding them accountable.
Not at all. Like I said, when we acquired Russell Westbrook last year in that trade, how many people was out there saying, "Oh, we're a third team, we're third seed, fourth seed in the East now. We upgraded from John Wall." How many that was the narrative that was going around. Remember that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, oh, the Wizards are a third seed, fourth seed in the East. Like, you know, we're a playoff team. Like, calm down. Calm down. Like, we haven't played one game yet. And then as the season went along, that's when, again, the narratives started to change.
Mm-hmm.
Those same folks who were saying that we were third and fourth seed, oh, we were affected by injuries. Oh, COVID this. Oh, you know, this is really what was going on. You know, but the reality was, my dude, we had to make a trade for Daniel Gafford in order for us to see our season truly turn around. How long was that after the start of the season before people really started to understand that that's what it takes for us to get better?
Exactly. It took March because that's when the trade happened. And another narrative was, oh, okay, well, you know, it was really Westbrook and Beal that actually took. No, it wasn't, because those guys was putting up their numbers and we were still losing ball games.
Yeah.
So it wasn't those two guys. It was those two guys, the reason why we were losing the way we were, because they weren't playing a lick of defense. When we acquired Daniel Gafford, we started playing better defense. When we started playing Garrison Matthews, who's no longer here, our defense improved. Hal Neto, our defense improved. That was another narrative we kept hearing. Well, the supporting cast is trash. Well, how can the supporting cast be trash when we went to the playoffs with those same players in the supporting cast that everybody was crying and complaining about? Now the narrative is, oh, well, this is real nice. We got KCP and we got Harrell and we got, you know, Kuzma. Man, again, we got a bunch of players that nobody really wanted. The Lakers was gladly and willingly to give these guys away. They've been trying to give these guys away for a few years, especially to us. You know, KCP, well, Kuzma anyway, has been linked to our team for at least the past 3 years.
Yeah.
Past 3 years, his name has been linked to us.
Yep.
So why are we sitting here getting excited about that?
Well, right. I mean, exactly. I mean, you know, Kuzma being a Wizard is actually not a surprise to me because, like you said, he's been linked to us for years now. You know, Lonzo Ball has also been a name that's been ringing bells around here for a long time. You know, and so, you know, my thing is Wizards Nation just needs to calm down. They need to pump the brakes. Like, first of all, Kuzma, we don't even know if Kuzma is going to last all next season, because
very true.
The Wizards was trying to get rid of him before, you know, he even got on the first flight to DC. Right. So we don't know if he's going to finish the season as a Wizard next season or not. He may be still dealt before the season start or even by the trade deadline. We just don't know.
I could easily see him being dealt by the trade deadline.
We just don't know.
We talked about the narratives a lot. We spent a lot of time talking about that. I mean, we can go on and on. So let's actually talk about the summer league. So you actually watched the game today, and I didn't get a chance to see it being so I was at work. So tell me what you saw in the game. Tell me what you liked and what you didn't like.
So Corey Kispert had a rebound game today. He put up 18. So, you know, he definitely did his thing. You know, he was a -4, but, you know, it's okay. I mean, 18 points, 2 blocks, 3 rebounds. You know, the man, I tried telling you, I'm not really too concerned about Corey Kispert. His game kind of will do most of the talking. He's an outside shooter. He's a threat from 3.
Right.
Yes, we're accustomed to it now because we've seen Davis Bertans. but
Mhm.
Kispert is a better defender. He's a better on-ball defender. And
Okay.
so when you see 2 blocks from a 3-point guy,
That's impressive.
that tells you something. That tells you that he's putting his nose on the ball and he's getting right up against the defender. I saw that today, and it was much better showing from the first two summer league games.
Okay. So I know you've been raving about the center that's on there. I can't think. Yeah, Eshanique. I think that's how you pronounce his
I
name.
believe so. Eshanique, or yeah.
I saw some highlights from the last game, and he's definitely an energy guy who actually uses his body, which is something that this team has sorely lacked for years. We haven't really had a player that actually used their body the way he does since Nene and even Kaveen Seraphin, which tells you how far back that's going.
Mhm.
But tell me what you like about that guy.
Like you said, big body, energy. I feel like he has that grit that this Wizards team needs. I think we should sign him. Like it's without a doubt. I mean, today he put up 13 points. He only played 8 minutes, but he played a meaningful role. I mean,
Okay.
up 13 points in 8 minutes. What does that tell you? That tells you that he's aggressive.
Right.
It tells you that he's no matter what NBA team signs him, which I think it should be us. I mean, he's on our summer league team. I think you should give this guy a contract. Even if you have to send him down to the G League for a little bit. This is a type of player that you don't know what you're going to get out of Thomas Bryant post injury.
Very true.
He could be your insurance.
That's very true.
And Montrezl Harrell, I don't know if they're going to play him, between the 4 and the 5, more so maybe the 5, of course. But Eshanique definitely gives you that extra body that you can't have too many big bodies, I don't think.
Okay. So one particular player that I know that I've been seeing people talk about is Caleb Homesley. I think she pronounced his last name.
Yeah.
The last game we played against the Sacramento Kings, he did solid in the first half, and then he pretty much was a non-factor in the second half. What did you see from him today?
He played great. I mean, he had 15, 8, and 5.
Okay.
He was a +7. He did have 4 turnovers. But his problem, I'll tell you what his problem is. He falls in love with the 3, and I don't think that he's ready for that. I mean, I know he can hit it. I know he can hit the 3-point shot, but I think he falls in love with it too much. He takes too many of those shots, and he's not consistent enough to hit that shot. Like Corey Kispert today was 4 for 7, I believe. Yeah, he was 4 for 7. Caleb Homesley was 1 for 6.
Okay.
So I know, I get it. He's definitely somebody who can hit the shot. That's why he takes the shot. But he's not a Corey Kispert, in my opinion.
Okay. So here's what I would say. With Isaiah Todd, I do believe he's going to be sent to the G League. He's 19, so I don't really expect anything out of him. I don't think he's going to get any playing time. So I think he would definitely go down to the G League. And Eshanique, I think that the team will probably put him on a 2-way contract and probably would send him down to the G League because, to your point, one thing you mentioned, which is very true about Thomas Bryant coming off this injury, you just don't know. It's going to probably take him some time to actually get into the swing of things, to get his legs up under him, for him to have the confidence to play like he did last season. Now, I do know that the team does like Caleb Homesley. I don't know if they're going to put him on a 2-way, because I think you can put 2 players on a 2-way contract. So he might be another guy that they put on a 2-way contract. But if and that could be just insurance just in case if KCP gets flipped sometime during the season, you got him to be able to come and back up Bradley Beal. But I will say that those 2 players that I just mentioned, Isaiah Todd and Eshanique, I definitely believe that they will be down with the Capital City Go-Go developing. I think it's only right that we send him there because Isaiah Todd is not ready from the times I've seen him.
Yeah, I mean, even today he's had, he had a couple of hiccups defensively. He's he'll be fine though. He'll be fine. I think that the Wizards really got him because they see how much of a prospect that he truly is. Like he's young, so he's raw. He's as raw as they come. And so
Right.
2, 3 years in the development cycle under the Wizards tutelage, I think he'll be fine. They're gonna call him up. They're gonna take it slowly with him. No rush to throw him in there. That's why personally I think, I mean, he's a power forward and he's a
Yeah.
natural power forward. So
Right.
the last thing you want to do is to play him out of his comfort zone,
Right.
because we've seen that too, right? We've seen where we're in a position less lead. So, 9 times out of 10, you need a guy now that's gonna stretch the floor. You're gonna play small ball. Davis Bertans being, the stretch, forward that he is. That's not Isaiah Todd.
Yeah.
So you're gonna need to find a system that works for somebody like him.
So to stay on Isaiah Todd, if you were the general manager and you were drafting, would you have traded back for Isaiah Todd, or what would you have done with that 22nd pick that you acquired from the Lakers? Who would you have picked with that?
Well, I would have stuck with we drafted
Isaiah Jackson.
yeah, Isaiah Jackson. Yeah, I would have stuck with that. I would have, because you know, not trying to, diminish Aaron Holiday or anything.
Right.
But if you kind of knew that you were getting Dinwiddie and you're probably going to be playing point guard by committee if Dinwiddie doesn't work out like you really want to, you could have eventually, called somebody up from the G League to do that later on. I mean, you just want to draft on skill. That's what you want to draft on. I mean, this draft is almost like we drafted on need, but we was passing on skill.
Very true.
We could have traded up. We could have traded up and drafted Chris Duarte or Moody. But we settled for Kispert because people looked at it like, oh, well, that's a guy that, we've had our eyes on. Think about it. We had 15, Kispert fell to 15. Okay? No other team picked Kispert before we did.
Right.
So he landed in our lap. Okay? You have to get aggressive if you want skilled players. Like if we knew we were trading away Westbrook, you trade up to get a guard in the draft. Jalen Suggs was there. Okay? Suggs was there. Toronto passed on Suggs. And they needed a point guard to fit.
Yeah.
And they passed on Suggs.
They passed them up. They went after Scotty Barnes. Let me talk about that real quick, man. I got to talk about it. I talked about it briefly in the last one. I got to talk about it. So, this is missed opportunities. We could have got Moses Moody. We could have got Kuminga. All we had to do was just pick up the phone and execute the trade. You could have got 2 solid young pieces. Had you done that, we wouldn't even be talking about Isaiah Todd right now, because you would have had Kuminga that would have been your Isaiah Todd. You know what I'm saying? So then we could have actually moved Danny. Not Danny. I'm sorry. You could have actually moved Rui to the 3, and you have Kuminga in there at the 4. And Kuminga is actually doing pretty good in the summer league. Like literally, is doing very well.
All of the potential picks that we could have got are doing well.
So then let me go to Suggs, because you mentioned about a guard. If we knew that Westbrook was going to be moved, you could have picked the phone up again and called Toronto, gave him Bill, took Siakam, and took the 4th pick, and you could have drafted Suggs. Because remember, I told you, I said, I don't think Toronto was going to draft Suggs from what I was reading. You was like, nah, I don't believe they're going to pass him up. And they passed him up. I didn't think they was going to pick Scotty Barnes, but they passed him up.
Mm-hmm.
Suggs is a combo guard, but you know why they didn't draft. You know why they didn't move up to get the rights to Suggs. You know why they didn't move up to even make the deal with Golden State, because they did not want to make Bradley Beal feel uncomfortable, letting him know we're moving on without him. But at the end of the day, he's the elephant in the room because nobody's really talking about him right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're not focused on him right now, because if you are smart, you would know that this man, as you and I spoke about earlier, he's going to decline the offer because he's going to try to go get the most money. But again, we still missed out on an opportunity to actually build for the future and get a lot better. Suggs literally would have actually brought electricity to DC again. I'm going back to that word electricity again, because I'm so used to us having point guards that are electrifying, and to settle for Spencer Dinwiddie, it's like, what are we doing?
I guess where I'm at is, that's why I'm giving the Spencer Dinwiddie trade a D plus. It was a D plus. I think I said a D plus, right? In the first episode. And the reason, the biggest reason why is because, you had opportunities to go all out to draft a future point guard.
True.
Just like you had all the opportunities to go all out for Spencer Dinwiddie.
Right.
You sold yourself short on the fact that somebody said to you that they have interest here in playing alongside Bradley Beal. So once again, we go back to the fact that the organization just wants to appease one player. Had the organization just did what they were supposed to do for the organization's sake, and not worry about appeasing one player, then the young guys that we're talking about would be Wizards right now.
Right.
There would be no doubt in my mind that, if Bradley Beal had went to the Wizards organization and said, okay, it's time for me to move on with my career, Kuminga, Moody, Wiggins, Wiseman, those guys would be Wizards right now, because the Golden State Warriors had that deal on the table. And they said that there was only one player that they would move those pieces for, and the organization did not want to move on that player, and that player was Bradley Beal.
Let me say something about that too, Mike.
Countless times the Warriors said that.
Too many times. And let me talk about that real quick. For you guys out there that wants to sit here and glorify this deal with us getting all these parts that nobody wanted, that's when you sit there and say, you know what, Tommy did an excellent job. When you name Wiseman, Moody, Kuminga, Wiggins, now you're talking smart. Absolutely. Now, here's what I'm thinking, and this is just a theory that I have. Because Moody says he's looking forward to playing against Bradley Beal. I think Moody played on Bradley Beal's AAU team or something like that, I believe. But I started thinking, I said, well, what if he probably was thinking in the back of his mind that he was going to be a Wizard as the reason why he was looking, he might have been excited. I think maybe he might have been open to becoming a Washington Wizard. It's a possibility. He could have been open to that, but we did not. Let's say that was something he wanted to do. We did not give this kid an opportunity to become a Wizard because we was too busy worried about the guy that we're constantly asking for a commitment from.
Well, Moody also played in Bradley Beal's summer league or his summer camp.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
So there's definitely ties there, with Bradley Beal, and he could have very well had in his mind that there's a good possibility that I could be going and playing Washington, D.C. and replace Beal or, fill in where they need, somebody just in case Bradley Beal makes that decision. It could very well have been in his mind preset that, it looks like my destination may be Washington. But I don't think it just goes for him. I think you had other players as well that was like, hey, look, that's a good destination because they're going through a rebuild. And so, I could see myself playing alongside other young players. Bradley Beal if I'm not mistaken, him and Dinwiddie now are going to be the oldest players on the team. Because other players are 27 and younger.
Yep.
So, my thing is Bradley Beal's expectations now or what? Your career continues with the Wizards organization. You're going to constantly be frustrated that younger players are not playing up to your standards. You're going to be going into your 30s playing with the young 24, 25-year-old players, and you're forcing the organization to put together a team to win a championship, but it's not going to happen within your next max contract. So what exactly is your goal and what is your agenda? Because right now it can't possibly be winning. This is a rebuild. So we already know under the Wes Unseld Jr. era, we're going through a period of time where we're waiting for players to develop into the players that we want them to be. So Bradley Beal, you can't keep complaining about the team not getting better and you want a championship this and championship that. We're literally going in the opposite direction of what your expectations are, my man.
Yeah, and I mean, this is what you sign up for. Now, just because Bill won't ask for a trade, that doesn't mean that his agent can't ask for a trade. And that's what people need to understand. His agent, and I know they said, well, his agent works for him. Yeah, but his agent is also going to make sure he gets the best deal out there. So we're going to be the team that's going to give it to him. But again, keep in mind, once he gets his money and it's secured, then he will ask for a trade. So let me ask you this, and then I will end it off the episode with this.
Okay.
So what are the things what is your expectations for this upcoming season? What would you like to see? What would you like to see this upcoming season?
Well, there are great things that I want to see. The one thing that I want to see is Wes Unseld Jr. put his stamp on the franchise. Okay. I'm really excited about what Wes brings to the table. I am. I mean, that's my little hope. I want to see Rui improve. I want to see more plays run his way. I want to see, we're so accustomed to dominant point guard basketball. I don't want to see that anymore. So you want to start to see Denny's improvement, Rui's development, Denny's development, Wes Unseld Jr.'s strategies, his structures. You want to see Gafford get back out there and improve. There's still question marks, man. There's still so many question marks. Like Thomas Bryant coming back from injury. Is that better for us? Is that worse for us? Bradley Beal playing in a contract year where maybe he doesn't want to give his 110% all because he knows that if he gets injured and he's betting on himself, he loses out on that. So maybe you don't see the 30 points per game Bradley Beal this season. I mean, think about that, man. You're betting on yourself. The last thing you're going to do is go out there and exert so much energy and effort. You already met the criteria to get the Supermax contract. The only thing you need to do at this point is keep your two legs on the ground and run. And that's all you need to do. All year long, you just need to play it safe. What's the likeliness this year of us seeing another All-NBA Bradley Beal? I don't think we're going to see that same Bradley Beal because he's already met the pole that he was trying to get to in order to be an All-NBA player. So We're not going to see that Bradley Beal this season. Maybe 26, 27 points, but you're not going to see 33, 34. Now, the last thing, and I'll end it with this, is I think that, the new guys coming in, Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, KCP, what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to be the guys that show the young guys how to win. Because KCP and Kuzma, as much as we like to give them crap, those guys are champions now. So they're bringing a different type of pedigree on the team. And I think as Wizards fans, we need to hold them to that. Because if they come in here playing like they playing on the Clippers in the early 2000s, in the late 1990s, they got a whole nother thing coming. Wizards Nation is going to hold these guys accountable. Hey, we know you're not in La La Land no more, but don't go out there and act like you playing in La La Land.
Well, when it comes down to those guys, I don't really have a lot of expectations when it comes down to the KCPs of the world. Really, the only player out of that bunch that I'm really concerned about that I actually like is Harrell, because I just like his energy. But I believe that some of those guys, 3 of those guys, 2 of them at least are going to be flipped by the trade deadline. I do believe that. My expectations, as I said before, I just want to see this team just develop. I think that's the frustrating part that Bill is going to deal with, because Wes Unseld Jr. is not going to really cater to him. And I'm happy to have a coach that's actually going to hold players like him accountable. Mm-hmm. That could have been the reason why Westbrook also decided to leave as well, because he didn't want to have to be held accountable. And if he was going to be held accountable, he liked his accountability out there in LA than he does here in Washington. He wanted to still be the Westbrook that he always been, which is he can just control he can just control the team. But I just want to see the young guys be developed. I want to see Wes Unseld be successful. And what I'm expecting the most, and I don't know why the hell I continue to keep expecting this, is I want the organization to finally make the right decision. Obviously, my dude, we know for one thing, the organization definitely ain't no Spike Lee fan, because they never saw the movie Do the Right Thing. So I'm just going to be honest, man.
Oh, man. Well,
so man,
yeah. Hey, at the end of the day, we just realists. We got expectations of the team, and at the end of the day, man, that's all. I think that Wizards Twitter needs to understand that's where we come from 95% of the time. The moment we have a winner, the moment we'll change up our tune about, the direction of the team. But until then, we have to be this way, because the organization continues to sell us short and fall flat of these expectations. 2016, 2017 year, we always talk about it. Why? Because that was a team that truly was dedicated to winning. And the organization, they ate it up that year, man. You seen 2 players in Bradley Beal and John Wall play at a level that we'll probably never see here in this city again for a long time, my dude.
No, we won't.
I mean, look, what Russell Westbrook did last year was okay. It was great and all, okay, became the all-time triple doubles leader, whatever. But it's nowhere comparable to what John Wall and Bradley Beal did that year, especially John Wall, especially my man right here. Shout out to Wall Star, who was a All-NBA player, top 10 league in the MVP discussion, turned into a 2-way player, did it on both ends of the floor, night in, night out, led his team to a 16-game home win streak. I mean, man, come on. Like,
come on.
What?
I mean, come on. I mean,
y'all gonna stop disrespecting my man, John Wall out there. Like, if I gotta make sure that I send this video right here to Houston or send it to wherever, any hater's house, I don't care. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna tell you to your face, man. Stop hating on my man Wall, who is a 5-time All-Star, who has basically, had to carry an organization on his back for 7+ years with no excuse.
Who didn't mind doing that. Didn't mind. He knew exactly what he was drafted to do. The moment we drafted him, he already knew what responsibilities he had. And let me say this, man. Westbrook had a great season last year. I'm not gonna say great. He had a good season last year. I'm not gonna say great because he started off playing like trash the first 2 months. But he had a good season last year. But nothing that he did last year can top. Nothing he did last year as a Wizard can top Game 6, 2017 against Boston. The shot that John Wall made to push it to a Game 7. Nothing can top that. What he did, it's not going to top it. What Spencer Dinwiddie is going to do with us is not going to top that. So,
yeah, but then
Wiz Nations, man, we put some respect on John Wall's name. Stop trashing this guy.
Yeah, then they want to turn around and try to throw Game 7 out there. But I'm looking at it like, if it wasn't for the shot, there'll be no Game 7.
Exactly. You wouldn't be talking about Game 7 if it wasn't for that guy.
It's almost like it was better for him to miss the shot so the haters wouldn't have anything to talk about versus him hitting the shot. But when he hit the shot, the haters wasn't talking. That's the thing.
No, well, we did have one hater that sat there and said it was a lucky shot, but
Yeah, well, we're not giving that clown any energy.
That hater know who he is. He said it was a lucky shot. That's what he said. But what we do know is that Westbrook last season played like straight doo-doo against the 76ers, only for the 76ers to get eliminated by the Atlanta Hawks by another electrifying guard by the name of Trae Young, who, Bradley Beal is a good player, but he ain't no damn Trae Young.
Let me ask you this question. If Russell Westbrook and Trae Young swap spots and Russell Westbrook was on the Atlanta Hawks, does he do what Trae Young did for Atlanta last year?
Hell no.
Y'all gonna stop disrespecting my man Wall. Y'all gonna stop disrespecting my man John Wall. Period.
Hell no.
If you swap Russell Westbrook for Trae Young, you put Russ on that Atlanta Hawks squad. Atlanta Hawks don't do the same thing with Russell Westbrook that they did with Trae Young. I don't need to say nothing else. And if for y'all, it's like, oh, well, you know what? If you swap John Wall for Trae Young, they wouldn't even have gone that far. No, that's not true because we got proof of that right here in D.C. John Wall had to wait for the development of Bradley Beal.
Exactly.
Trae Young's next best player averaged what? 16, 17 points per game? Who's John Collins? Guess what? We know about that too because Bradley Beal was averaging 16, 17 points per game with John Wall when he was averaging 20. So we know about that.
Not only that, just to hear, the 2017, 2018 season when we got eliminated by the Toronto Raptors, John Wall was averaging damn near 28 points a game in the first round on one good leg.
On one leg.
Put some respect on that man's name. Man, stop trashing this dude.
Man, they can't sleep at night without thinking about him.
I'm going to just say this, man. I know what these Wall haters are fearing. They're fearing him being released by Houston and he end up going to the Clippers because then they'll be saying, oh, man, they might actually win a championship. That's what they're afraid of. They just love seeing him suffer down there in Houston. But if you pay attention, Houston got a nice little nucleus down there, nice little young pieces down there. So I wouldn't sit there and hate on them too much. They're going to actually be solid, even with him being there. Now, Houston, some fans in Houston is appreciating Wall, and a lot of them are not. But put some respect on my man's name. He earned his contract. Just as well as you people are saying that Bill is going to earn his contract, Wall earned his contract.
And the last thing I'm going to say is John Wall doesn't have the worst contract in the NBA. Ben Simmons does. Ben Simmons owns the worst contract in the NBA. Let me repeat. Ben Simmons owns the worst contract in the NBA. Ben Simmons owns the worst contract in the NBA.
Yes, he does.
Simmons owns the worst contract in the NBA.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He can't shoot a free throw. Wall can shoot a free throw. Ben Simmons can't really shoot that well.
Nope.
So,
and the thing is you're playing. Look, man, if John Wall had Joel Embiid, is this even a discussion?
No. Oh, and by the way, Ben Simmons was a number 1 draft pick too. I mean, are you guys going to hold him accountable? He's a number 1 draft pick too. He's not trying to improve.
They don't want to talk about it, man.
Of course, they don't want to talk about it.
They don't want to talk about it.
Put some damn respect on my man's name. Put some respect on his name.
You couldn't even see that joint. It just had the Bullets logo on. It just had the hand up there.
Put some respect on my man's name. Put some respect on this man's name right here. Put some respect on his name.
The haters mad, boy. The haters mad. Let them hate. So anyway, I guess we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. But
definitely gonna wrap it up. It was a great episode, man. Definitely is a pleasure. We got to do this again.
Sure.
So we're gonna definitely talk Wiz Hoops. Pretty sure the next go around we're gonna be talking about the narratives again, because I know they're gonna still keep coming, but I'm gonna let you guys know I'm gonna still be at y'all throat. So you can continue to keep hating, and I'm gonna still keep on tweeting.
It is what it is. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. This is the second episode of State of the Wizards. And once again, please follow me on Wiz Takes and follow my man on DC Hoopla. We thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys on the next episode.